Welcome, Saber enthusiast. I am Nick Nitro, and I am the Lord of the Crucible. Today, we are going to be conducting our review of the Crimson Dawn Azure Keeper. Now, this is the first time I decided to get a saber that is anything other than silver or black. And I'm going to try and get quite a few close-ups of this as we go along, but this has got a really nice color, and I really don't even know if the cameras are going to do it justice. Looks really nice. However, it should be noted that despite my best efforts, this is no longer my lightsaber. I am still going to test it. It is probably still going to be broken. I will be required to repair it. This has been claimed by my wife. This is now hers. She absolutely loves the look of it, so. But in my last video, I pointed out how the emitter here was very similar to the first saber that I had on the channel, which is this, which is also from Crimson Dawn. This is the Crimson Dawn Banshee. Now I have dressed it up with a little bit of a tail here and a cover tech wheel and leather wrap, but really they are very, very similar. Now, the Keeper is a little longer, but if you look at the emitter, how it has that little S curve to it, it's the exact same kind of emitter on the Banshee. So there are actually 4 blade retention screw holes on here, just like with the Banshee. There's 1 on either side, and then 2 at the top here. Now, on the Banshee, I leave the top one open to provide a little shine through from the blade, and I have a screw on the bottom, which is exactly the setup I have here. And that is how I tested the Banshee. That's how I'm going to test this one. Just try and keep the tests as even as possible. Now, the grip here does have a nice little concave dip to provide a little extra grip for those of you that like to grip low. And a gentleman who responds to my channel a lot, I absolutely love him. His name is Fortieth. If you look down in the comments, you might actually see a comment here and there from him. He was one of the winners of our giveaway that we did a while back, and it was a very similarly shaped hilt. Now that one actually came from the pack store, and it is literally in all dimensions a smaller version of this hilt. A little shorter, a little narrower, used a 7/8 inch blade instead of a 3/4. But I gotta say, for the increased size, there is not a dramatic increase in weight. They are both very light, very fast spinning sabers. So this one is actually really nice. It's gonna make a great first saber for my wife. So yeah, I don't get to keep this one. That said, let's go ahead and get on into the review. You know, we do a lot of measurements here, and I am going to get into a little bit into the Bluetooth app, because this is Bluetooth compatible. And there is something, a couple of things I discovered last video that I'm going to cover this time. Let's go ahead and get started, I think. There we go. So that's our basic stats. We'll go ahead and throw those up over here somewhere. And here you go. Good birdie boy. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to go over some of the functions. Because like I said, ran into a couple of things. The last video I said I did kind of like the idea that Crimson Dawn does by having a QR code that you can scan and view the manual wherever you're at. The manual did not provide all of the information that I needed. Now, while I was kind of right in that this is based on a Xeno 3 soundboard, it does connect to the Xeno Configurator app, fine. You don't have access to everything that you might want to in the app. From what I have seen in the forums, and if there's someone out there who can provide a reference or source that can correct me on this, please do write down in the comments. From what I understand, Crimson Dawn is going to be developing their own app for their Crimson Core V2 Sabers. So what this means is that while the Xeno Configurator can download and install a firmware update, it may not be a good idea to run that firmware update on this Saber. So we're not going to do that. We're going to wait for the Crimson Dawn app and see what updates they push out through that. In the meantime, you can use it to get to set up each of your sound fonts and your blade style and all of that real easy. But when it comes to the actual functions, we're going to go ahead and go through those now because there were a couple that I found that weren't listed on the site. So, to turn it on out of deep sleep, like most LGTs, you just hold in the button.
Crimson Dawn Sabers.
Now it always pops up at maximum volume. So the first thing we want to do is set the volume on here. And that is just one flash.
Volume 5.
You hear the one beep, it goes to volume 5. You've also got mute. And then
Volume 11.
11.
Volume 5.
We're going to keep it at volume 5. That's going to work a little better for the speaker. 2 flashes.
Volatile blade.
That changes your blade style. You got volatile, beating blade,
Balanced blade.
and a balanced blade.
Smuggler.
Okay. This is what I'm calling either the secondary blade style or the blade mode. I think that would be a better word for it. In the last video, this one gave me a little bit of a heart attack. This was not covered in the instructions, so I had to fiddle around and find out about it my own. Let's get this.
Wraith. Destiny.
Now there are 3 modes. This is Destiny, which is the standard mode that we've been working with so far.
Smuggler.
Smuggler is the one that gave me the heart attack. So, no illuminated blade, no swing effects on the blade, but all of your blaster deflects, your clashes, and your lockup all show up in the blade. Smuggler is just basically your stealth blade.
Wraith.
Then we have Rave. Now this one will have a dimmer blade, and when you move it, the blade will lighten up, will brighten up, and then when you stop, it goes dim again. So, very dim blade, a little flicker to it, but when you swing, it pops right back up. That can be a fun one.
Destiny.
And we're back on Destiny. Now, 4 flashes.
Deactivating clash.
Deactivates your clashes. Nothing.
Activating clash.
4 flashes reactivates it. And you're good. 5.
Motion control deactivated.
Will deactivate your motion control. So the gesture controls that normally allow you to turn it on, off, your swing on. This does have thrust on as well. All of those are now deactivated with 5 flashes. 5 more,
Motion control activated.
and it reactivates. And then 6 flashes
Wanderer.
changes your sound font to the next sound font in one direction. Now, gesture controls can be kind of important because if you turn it, point the blade down, sorry, that's the way to turn it on. If you rotate it in the other direction,
The Protector.
it changes the sound font in the other direction. So if you want to go in one direction, you use the button for 6 flashes. If you want to go back, you point the blade down and rotate counterclockwise. Or some of these fonts have soundtracks to them. And the way you access them is you point the blade up with the blade off and rotate counterclockwise. That activates the sound font and turns it off. But it doesn't do it when the blade's on. Now, let's go ahead and go through the button controls with the blade active. Now, for one button press, you get your blaster deflect. Simple enough. Hold it for 1 flash. That's your lockup effect. 1 press releases it. 2 enters your slow color change mode, which always defaults back to this beginning. So you can't just slide the color over a little bit. It always takes you back to the beginning of the color wheel. And we'll go here for now. Now, 3 flashes. All right. Yep, that's the only color selection you get. 3 flashes turns it off. So that is basically all of your functions here. Now, if there are others, I have not found them yet. I'm still experimenting. Now, to turn this into deep sleep, like most LGT Sabers, if you just hold the button down for the entire time to turn it into deep sleep, it will change the sound font. So what I do is I activate a sound font and just let it time out. Keep holding it down. Takes a little bit. And there we go. There is one other thing about this Saber, and a couple of things to say about it. I'm gonna have to take a lot of pictures for this video. Here we go. Right here is your SD card. I believe that is a removable SD card. I have not tried yet. I want to look at a couple of tutorial videos, make certain I'm doing it correctly. And if it is in fact removable, then you should be able to add sound fonts and remove sound fonts. Now I have heard something on the forum. I'm hesitant to mention it, but it could be important. It seems to have been confirmed through the forum. I've actually still have to send an email out to support at Crimson Dawn to verify this directly. But it appears that if the SD card is not fully seated or even removed, the Saber will still work with your sound fonts. Now, I've heard some people saying you only get half the sound fonts, other people saying it is a full backup copy of the stock sound fonts. So if you've added a font to the card and you remove the card and you turn it on, I don't believe that added sound font will be stored there. But that is a nice little backup feature. I still have to test that out. I'll update you once I know for certain. That being said, it is a really nice feature if that is in fact how it works. It is really, really nice if you can in fact remove the SD card and add your own sound fonts. Trust me, I've got some Xenopixel configured grayscale fonts. They'll be going on here. Yeah, I love the sound of those sound fonts.